My name's Vic Dale. I've had a strong association to Coolgardie. As little children we were here. My father was a woodcutter, prospector. And then in latter years when the mines in Coolgardie were turning towards the super pit, I moved down to Coolgardie again, and my heart's in Coolgardie. I've always enjoyed it here. One of the big gaps in Coolgardie's history, which is rarely told, but they find the gold here in September of '92, and it does cause a rush. I mean, it empties out Southern Cross. They're all up here trying to peg claims. But Warden Michael John Finnerty, who was also at that time Warden of Southern Cross, he was extremely mindful that it was a dry summer, and he was really frightened that people here would die over the summer months because there wasn't enough water. And so he ordered the bulk of the people back to Southern Cross, and he left a skeleton crew here to just maintain virtually law so people wouldn't be thieving from other people's camps and mine sites. And the real rush doesn't really start till March of '93. It's when the cyclones come in from up north, and '93 brought big heavy rains down through here, and that was the beginning of the real rush. You walked, or if you had enough money, you could hitch a ride with a loaded wagon. But most of them walked in, and the strong men would walk in from Southern Cross in 7 days. And they would carry their water, their food, their mining equipment, and that's a pretty big effort. I don't think too many young ones today would be doing that. And with that, there was only 5 water holes, and so there was 2 days on that walk. They had to carry enough water to take them through 2 days. And so water is a very, very big issue to everyone. And of course the Namma hole here was the main water source for the local Aboriginal people. But it wasn't anywhere near big enough for the white man with horses and all those things. And so they set about using explosives and turning it into a dam, which is still there today. We used to go swimming there when we were kids. And then there was a boy, back in the 1950s, he got drowned there, and the Shire filled it in with gravel. And about 15 years ago, a local mob, locals got together and cleaned it out and brought it back to being a dam. So what you see today is what the old blokes cleaned it, made a dam out of. Fire across all of the mining towns, and Coolgardie is no exception to that, was the greatest fear they all had. A lot of housing and even a lot of the shops, although this one is stonework, but a lot of the shops had hessian walls, flammables, and very little mechanism to fight fire with. And you know, if you look at the old photos, their buildings were all crowded up to each other. There was very little laneway between them. Dry conditions over the summer all would have lent itself to that fear of fire. 2 main fires that went down on this side of the street. First one was in November '95, and that was very destructive. They estimated that was around £250,000. Only a couple of years later, down this side we have one in once again November of '97, and that one burnt right down here, as close to the post office, and it's noted in old history books that the bravery of the postal officers and the fire brigade people, they saved the post office, but the rest of the street incurred a lot of damage. The only one we still have left where we can show you the result of fire is the old government building just up here. On their second level, on the eastern side, if you have a look, there's 2 doors there up on the 2nd story. And there's nothing there. If you open that door, you'd be stepping into space. But it was a veranda and a balcony there. got burnt down in the second fire of '97 and never replaced. All of it comes back to a very, very desperate situation. It's people's livelihood, and it's also the bread and butter of a mining town. You know, it's how they live. They've got to come to these shops to buy. And so the cost of the fire goes well beyond the business owner. There's the people who live there who no longer have access to what that shop was selling. I just can't help but admire the people that came out this far and were prepared to take the risks and create buildings and work and live there. And in all those separate ways, they all show a great courage.